पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते हरिः ओम्.
That which we call the outer world is perfect. This which we call the inner world is perfect. Each one filled with divine consciousness. Perfect comes from perfect. Take perfect from perfect. The remainder is perfect. Divine consciousness is non-dual. Anything that emerges from the divine consciousness is whole, is complete, is Purna. May peace and peace and peace be everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.
Hi friends, welcome to Purnamada, yet another series with a very special guest and Dr. Trupti Jain. You all know what is Purnamada. Purnamada is a series of real past life experiences, and you get a first-hand information from the people themselves, the people who've experienced and the therapists. So I'm with Dr. Trupti Jain, who has initiated this series, wonderfully conceptualized it, and she is behind so many past life cases, so many healings that we have all witnessed. Dr. Trupti Jain is a pioneer in past life regression therapy in India. She is herself an occupational therapist, a psychologist, and a transformational coach. And each series, we have a special guest who's not only a past life regression therapist trained under her, but also has been sharing their humble experiences and their life lessons with us. Today, we have somebody very special, and I take the privilege to introduce them. We have with us an MBA with a background of 20 years of corporate experience, working in human resources and people development. Somebody who ever since was a child spoke to beings. Yes, friends, she was highly intuitive ever since childhood. Her spiritual awakening happened when she was 19 years and has been guided by many gurus, teachers, and spiritual beings. Her area of expertise is working with people and empowering them through their emotions. She's trained in mastery level past life regression, NLP, PA, intuitive intelligence, tarot, numerology, acupressure, and breathwork. She is herself having a meditation channel. She's a relationship expert, divine feminine manifestor, and soul healer. A passionate self-healer who is, who represents Shakti, as we say in India, is none other than Bhavna Dahiya. Bhavna, welcome to our session.
Bhavna, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shrija. Thank you, Ma, for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Shrija.
Yes, and I would say that before this commences, we've been with Bhavna for such a long time, and reading this whole thing says a lot about, despite of being an MBA in the corporate field, you nurtured this spiritual aspect of yours so beautifully, and you did not let it just wane away and fade away. And this completely shows that you have given a lot of time in nourishing this aspect of yours. I've been with you in Rishikesh in the advanced level as well as in the basic level of therapist training, and I've seen the way you used to work with people and how the group was glued to you, Bhavna. So we've seen that you are a complete people's person. Would you like to share what exactly was the first time when you decided to get into past life therapy and approached Ma?
So the past life journey, of course, started many years ago, and I was searching for a teacher, and I think it's divine timing that happens. So I had already taken a break from my corporate career, and I was looking at what I wanted to do. And I don't remember which day or how it happened, but Ma just appeared in my Facebook feed, and then I was hooked. And I kept reading her stories, and all the cases that she shares so beautifully. And I feel that the way Ma shares is very balanced, and that's what I really loved about her. And I finally met her in one of the retreats, Seva Retreat, and I there was just a knowing, and just a tidbit over here. From the first time I met Ma in Rishikesh, whenever I say ma'am, it's always Ma that comes out. It just happened from the first time I met her. So then I thought it was a little awkward for her, but then I realized she understands it.
Yeah, I also remember Shrija meeting Bhavna and her mother because both of them had come for the Seva retreat together. And I found it so nice, that the mother daughter duo had come for the retreat, and they were always together. And her mom's also very nice. And that's when Bhavna told me that I want to come and learn and stuff like that. It hasn't been too far back. I think it's been what, about 4 years, Bhavna?
Actually, I think about 3 years now.
3 years, yeah,
Yeah.
3 years since you came for Seva. So, Bhavna, she just said that you're very intuitive, even as a child. So, can you share with us something about your intuition, especially as a child?
Yes, I think I realized it much later that it was intuition. For me, it was a very normal thing to do. I remember ever since I was a child, I would be on my own. I would have my own um, invisible beings who I would play with. And for the longest time, I think till the age of 10, because my father was in the army and we would move to different places, somehow it would happen. I would not have girls my age. I would have my brothers elder to me, so there will be elder or older children around. And so I probably learned to play by myself. And but I always felt, even when I was reading books or I was doing my when we play with toys, I had like 7 8 beings with me, and I would talk to them in my own language. And later on, of course, I understood I would use different languages, which probably must be languages that I learned. And I would talk in tongue on my own for the longest time. And I particularly remember that whenever I would ask something, it would just happen. And even if it was materialistic things or things for my parents as a child, it would just happen. And so I never believed that life was any other way. That was what life was for me. And
Correct.
so it was a very natural life. Even I remember when my connection with my grandparents, my nana nani, was very strong, and my nanaji has been a big influence in my life. So because he was the one who, when I was growing up, I think about I was 12, 13, and he had gotten into alternate therapy, and he was doing a lot of acupressure, reflexology, magnet therapy. He was already a homeopathic doctor. And so for me, that was the way of psychology and people and bachelor therapy, all of that was what medicine was really. And uh, so when my grandmother passed away, I think around when I was 12 years old, I intuitively knew when I was going to pick up the phone that I knew she was admitted in hospital, and I intuitively know that something's happened to my grandmom.
Okay.
And somehow nobody else was around to pick up the phone, and I was resisting to pick up the phone. And when I picked up, of course, they didn't tell me that, they just said that call your mom. And I wanted to tell them, no, you tell me, I can convey the message. Because I thought I was a big girl at 12 years old. So anyway, the news happened, and I would see my grandmother in the house. I would try and convey that. She would see, watching over us, watching over my mom and dad, because my dad was also very close to her. So many of these experiences would happen, and which I think I didn't share with my parents till much later.
So that's interesting. So let's say, Bhavna, if there are children today, I mean, would you like to say something to parents? Especially when children say things to them, which possibly you didn't tell your parents, but a lot of children who are highly intuitive do experience things, and they may go and tell their parents something which is out of the ordinary. Would you like to say a couple of things to parents who could be experiencing this with their children?
Okay, I think the first thing I would say is uh, a child knows much more than what we would think the child knows. And because they are absorbing everything in the environment through all their senses, all their six senses. So don't negate anything that your child tells you, because their senses are very, very heightened. And when they come to you and tell you something that is unbelievable, even if you don't believe it, I would probably request them that have a conversation with them, understand them, and because they will be able to know whether you believe them or not. So it's very, so you have to be very careful even in your expression. So even it doesn't matter how we might feel, but to listen to them and ask them, okay, why do you say that? Or how did you know that? Or what made you say that? Because sometimes you might be, what happens is parents might be having a conversation over the phone or in a different room, but the child will later on, after a half an hour, 1 hour, come and tell you something. So know that just listening to the child, I think that's the second thing I would say. And the child, and of course we know that that children do teach parents a lot as well. And children also have the ability, many of them have the ability to see things, like literally see different auric fields or different colors that we may not be able to see as adults or as human beings. So if you are unable to understand it, maybe take them to somebody whom you can have a conversation with, because it is very helpful. If I look back, for me that was my world,
Correct.
and it was only later that I realized, oh, there is a different world. So for children, they will have their own world that they will be, and it's not that they're escaping the world, but that is how they are. That is the person that they are. And if we negate something, or if we are not willing to listen, or we just say, "Oh, you just tum khali stop thinking so much, or stop imagining things, or stop
Correct.
building sandcastles,"
Correct.
it somehow, what will happen is they will stop communicating, not just to you but to others. They will somewhere, their confidence will wane, that, oh, maybe I'm saying something stupid, or I'm saying something silly, and that will take away from their personality, or it will take away from their confidence, and then it will take them some time to rebuild that connection with somebody else. So at least, to start with that. And we don't have, as parents, of course, because my parents were very different. I had already uh, by the 1920, I was meditating for hours and end. My parents had given up hope of, they had thought something had happened to their girl. And so at that time, my parents discovered spirituality only 7, 8 years later.
Right.
So it is very important that as parents, we also give them avenues, whatever those avenues might be, uh, that it might be different from us, because our children will have their own karmic lessons, they will have their own life that they have to, life purpose.
Absolutely right. And like you rightly said, the child is the father of man. So I guess it's very important to listen to our children. And also, we are aware of Shrija and me, and of course, you are aware that sometimes children can experience past life memories also when they're 2, 3, 4 years old. And they could be talking about those memories to the parents, and the parents kind of dissuade them or they don't encourage it. And then they will miss out on the spiritual journey of the child also. So yeah, Bhavna, that's very nice. So Bhavna, before you did past life therapy, you
Ma'am,
did other forms of therapy? Yeah, Shrija.
yeah, I wanted to just add in that sometimes we brush our children aside,
Yeah.
and also sometimes we talk to others about their experiences in a demeaning way over phone, or and
True.
that is really, as Bhavna said, it's like taking chipping them away of their own self, the integrated self that they are. And so, Bhavna, you really raised a very important point for all the parents out there listening,
Absolutely.
that it is so important here.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And there are books which are written where children have recalled their past life memories. And I encourage parents to read such books, okay? Bhavna, so yeah, so Bhavna was asking that before you did past life therapy, did you encounter other forms of alternate healing?
yes. So what? So one interesting thing happened. I think I was about 11, 12, where something had, I had hurt my part of my leg on my skin, and that's when we discovered that allopathic medicine was not suiting me. And so after the age of 11, 12, I've not had any allopathic medicine because it doesn't suit me, doesn't suit my body. And so I started I started having homeopathy medicine. But in terms of alternative healing, of course I discovered meditation on my own. It just happened. I wanted to chant, so I started chanting something, and then I think God just led, the divine being just led the way of what I should chant,
Correct.
which mantra I should chant, or it would just come into my awareness, because at that time we didn't have Google or YouTube, so
True.
there would be audio cassettes,
True.
and so they would just come to me, or somebody would gift something. So for me, it was what I had discovered. I Of course I was doing numerology. I had discovered numerology when I was 12 years old. So
Okay.
I had already started, reading all the books possible at home and at my grandfather's place. Though it's not healing, but I felt it just called to me. It was very natural for me to go towards that,
Correct.
and also graphology and a bit of palmistry is
Oh,
something,
wow.
but
Yeah.
it didn't interest me. Palmistry was, I think it was a little boring, or got put off when something said that, oh, I'll have 3 children. I said, I don't want 3 children. So I think
Right.
it was just the child in me. But
Correct.
yeah, all of these therapies were came to me, and magnetotherapy, acupressure was part of my life ever since childhood.
Lovely. And then, how did you think of past life therapy? I mean, you were an MBA, you're already working. So, I mean,
Yeah.
shifting from that kind of a field to something like healing required a lot of guts. So,
Yes.
was it like you were fed up with it and you were looking for something alternate, or it just excited you, or you felt that's enough of corporate life, let me move on? So, because many people from the corporate world have
Yeah.
joined, so that's why I'm always curious to know this. So, what
Yes.
exactly happened?
I think I'll go back to what we were talking about, parents and
Uh-huh.
children.
Yeah.
So I discovered tarot when around my spiritual awakening. It was 19. So all of this happened like now that I recall it, it happened like very quickly. I discovered Yogananji and his lineage. I discovered tarot around the same time, Osho around the same time, and Dr. Brian Weiss at the same time, and Conversations with God, Celestine Prophecy, Notes to Myself. A lot of I was a reader. I've always been a reader. So, and I think, and when I would read Richard Bach's books, they were nice story. It was a storyline, so it was nice to read, but it had a overlying
True,
spiritual meaning.
true.
And I think that's I was because I was so open. I just let it flow. I would just let anything that came into my awareness. I said, okay, let me try this or let me try that. And by that time, I had already started having experiences that I remember. And so I would experience changes in my body or tingles. Like I said, I had, and it was not that I would sit down to meditate for 2 hours or 3 hours. It would just happen. I would look at the watch, and it would, my parent might be knocking on the door, but I would not hear the knock because
Right.
I would, I
You
was
wouldn't
not
have known the
there.
next space. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was this time when I discovered, or I knew that what I was sensing was past life regression, past life therapy. I want to go back to one of the, I would have very vivid dreams as a child,
Right.
and one of those vivid dreams they would keep repeating. And I would, so around that time, around 13 years of age, I started maintaining a diary because I something told me there's some deeper meaning here. There's something over here that I need to record. And so I started recording my dreams, and I would have a lot of deja vu experiences that, oh,
Right.
I've been here somewhere, or this conversation has happened. Like it would happen almost every single day. And so when I had those vivid dreams, it was about meeting somebody. And as children, girls, when you're growing up, you're also thinking of boys.
Correct.
You have
Of
this
course.
romantic
Uh,
notion in your mind. And so I would think that, oh, what is it or whatever. And so when I understood that some of those memories, or whether it was they were memories or they were premonitions, it was related to the past life in a bit. And it struck me when I went to do my MBA in Pune in 2001. I met a couple of people that I was like, oh my God, I met this person earlier. I've met these people earlier. And so it just, whatever I would read, I never dismissed past life. I think that was a big thing
correct.
because of the experiences.
Uh,
And so when I had that vividness, oh, I've met these people somewhere. And my connection with my mom has always been, I have always felt I have to take care of her.
okay.
And so, and for my mother, that used to be very weird. Now she's got used to it, but for a child who's 10 years old or 12 years old, or even when you're growing up, it's a little weird. And here again, I would like to tell parents, because you will notice that many parents now, uh, or children might be going through that. The children want to take care of their mother or their father, so let them, because there is a reason why they're saying that.
Correct. True. True.
And so yeah, so it was, the entire thing just came together. And when I started working after my MBA, and I worked for my, and the reason I went for my MBA was because that was the only way I could go and meditate in the Osho ashram.
Oh,
So
that's why you went to Pune.
that
Okay.
was Pune. So for me, I'm
Uh,
like, I don't mind studying for 2 years. I don't mind that at all. But at least I'll get to experience deeper meditation, because I wanted somebody else to, have more deeper experiences.
correct.
And I'd met Sri Ravi Shankar also by that time. So I knew that, I wanted to have more experiences. And so it was, for me, it was coming full circle.
Correct.
And
True.
so 3 years back, actually, it was about 5 years back. It was just a push to get out of the corporate sector. But I didn't listen to it, and it kept pushing. And it came to such a way that it was like I was literally lifted and put in a position that you have to start walking this path now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, and then that's when I discovered you, and Seva just changed my life.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Bhavna. I mean, you never think of this when you begin life, and even after school and college, I think most people get caught up in that routine, stereotyped kind of existence. No? And then suddenly there's a calling that comes, and then you meet the right kind of people, and then once you meet the right kind of people, somehow many people tell me that, how come uh, now I can't think of myself as going back to leading the life that I was leading. I'm sure that must be happening with you also, Bhavna,
Yes, same here.
that you cannot imagine going back now
I
to
yeah.
corporate life.
I mean, I don't know who that Bhavna was.
Yeah, that's something else a lot of people tell me. It's so I find it so intriguing, that what we are meant to do somehow opens much later in life rather than early on.
Yes.
Early on, of course, you have experiences and all that continues, but the real path on which you have to walk opens much later. I think it's a very interesting and intriguing research subject, that people should work on. So, Bhavna, what happened then? Of course, past life therapy, you came for the training at Rishikesh, and so what kind of experiences you have had? Share one or two that were intriguing for you.
Yeah. So I want to, I'll share one which happened in the first level of training because, and in that also I came with, a friend of mine. And so what happened, I think it was the second or the third day, we had just started to practice the full session of PLR. And that night, I was in the alpha theta state all the time for those 5 hours because early morning we had to do a practice. So, the 5 hours. And I was amazed because I was rested, yet I was there. And like my physical body and my auric body, I could feel it, I could feel the difference. And it was just such a amazing experience. It was like a stamp that yes, this is what you're here for. And later, of course, I was telling everybody, and people, I don't know what they thought of it, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing and magnificent. And I've been floating, but I'm here. And so I think that was like a major thing, and that I said that made me feel, yes, I'm here, this is the right thing that I'm doing. And um, I think I'll probably talk about the second level because the second level was also something just changed for me. New thing opened up. In the first level, I think the experiences that I had, there was a lot of knowingness, my connection with my family, or rather my mother's side, because I always was connected, so I knew that and I had seen that earlier. But with my brother and my connection with my father, it was, it really came full circle. And it also taught me or showed me how to be more compassionate because we didn't have, uh, I would say, not very good lives together. So that
Okay.
also helped me understand why they are different from who I am,
Yeah.
and why I feel more attached to them, or my father feels more attached to me. So I understood those dynamics very clearly, and it just made me surrender, which, unless we totally surrender, we experience it, we can't understand what that word means.
True, true, absolutely, yeah.
And so, and once that was sorted, a lot of my other connection, my sole purpose became, it kind of came back to me of what I should be doing and I need to be doing. And 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 a lot of the experiences after I came back from Rishikesh started to happen. So things started opening up. I think there were number of nights in a week that I would have a lot of those experiences, and because you had shared that with us, I knew that these were some of them were past life memories. So I was releasing a lot of fear. I was releasing trauma as
Right,
well.
right.
I was releasing my belief systems that I thought were mine, but
Yeah.
of course I realized they were, just lying there. and this in my body or in my emotion. So that started clearing up. So once that thing started clearing up from my subconscious mind and my physical body as well, I was able to be very clear of what I need to do next.
Mm.
So I think that I know I haven't shared specific experiences, but because it was complete turnaround for me.
Mm. So you had multiple kind of visitations, and in a sense, you had multiple past life experiences, and each one of them
Yes.
opened a different layer for you.
Yes.
And you kind of went deeper and deeper with every layer that was opening, which happens to a lot of people. And even post the training, you had these experiences kind of continued, like a cleansing experiences. They kind of
Yes.
removed all the uh, residual stuff that needed to go
Yes.
away. Any particular past life experience with the attachment to your mother that also could have been experienced?